everyone, welcome back to my next video. Well, I want to show you a whole new, I think, category of solar panel systems. Up till now, basically we had the hard panels you mount on the roof, and then you also had the suitcases, which were usually 100-watt panels and 250-watt panels that combined into a controller, and they were hard and they were fairly heavy. They weren't and kind of bulky. And they were the best solution. A lot of you don't have any money. You don't have the money to put it on the roof. You have no room on your roof. You don't want a hole in your roof. Well, what I've been suggesting was the hard suitcase panels. But they're still pretty big and awkward and heavy to take out and in every day and set them up and take them away. Another option that looked really, really good, and I was recommending to people for a while, was the flexible, you know, the 100-watt flexibles, and you they flexed around, but their reliability has been so poor that I don't recommend them at all, because they just, if you're moving it in and out and every day, yeah, they only weigh 4 or 5 pounds, but they just didn't hold up. They kept breaking, and just even that flexing. So the best thing I could offer you was the suitcase, the hard suitcases. They're 20 pounds. You got to find room for them in your rig. But the companies have come up with what I think of as a whole new category, and it's kind of a soft, flexible, thin. I mean, I can easily hold this out at one hand, and look how thin that is. It just there's nothing there, and I think this may be a whole new category of product. So I have 5 of them that I've bought, and I'm going to test them, and then I'm going to give them away to people who will take them and do a long-term test. We'll come back really often, every 6 months I'm hoping, and give you a report on how these things are holding up. What is really unique about them is this one brand, Dokio, has got super cheap systems, and having looked at them, they are fairly cheap looking, but they're cheap. This is an 80-watt panel, and it's $120. This might work for a lot of you with just a phone or a tablet, and you know, if you want to run a fan, a USB fan, some USB lights, charge things up. This might be all you need, and it's $120. And even if you're in a car, you can find a place to fit this. I don't think this is even the smallest. This is an Acco Power, and the quality of this was quite a bit higher. And I think it's actually smaller. You can see that it's actually smaller. This one's it's 6 inches. It's about the same width and 6 inches narrower. I think it's a much higher quality, and we'll go into all these details. This is 105 watts, and it has 3 panels, and the quality appears to be much, much higher. So because there's 3, I think they're probably 3 35-watt panels, something like that. And it's a little heavier because I think the quality is better. The material's thicker. I think the backing on these panels is thicker. I think this might going to be hold up a lot longer. I don't know. We'll find out. If you're in a car, here's a 105-watt solar panel. And they're still kind of expensive. This was $278. It was the most expensive. We're also going to look at a Renogy, which is 100-watt also, and it was $255. This was $278. This Dokio, well, let me show you. They have the controller is in here. It's just a cheap controller. You can buy these. If this breaks, you can buy a new controller on Amazon for 20 bucks or less. So the controller, if it breaks, you don't care, you throw it away. The big thing is, will all the wiring internal to the solar panel continue to work? That's your one real issue. We'll talk more about the details in a minute. So this is an 80-watt, and it was 120. Again, really small, really light. So this 100-watt Dokio was $155, and this is a 200-watt. Now it's the same dimensions because they're all 50-watt panels, but except that now you have 4 panels. So it weighs twice as much, and you would just take this out and set it on the ground. 4 50-watt panels. But even if you're in a car, you probably can still fit this in there somewhere. And because the panels are stiffer and smaller, they won't flex nearly as much as the flexibles. And these Dokios are so cheap, I'm hoping that they hold up, because this is the solution. Okay, so now we'll do just a quick unboxing so you can see how they come. We're going to go, we have the 5 of them. We're going to go in order from most expensive to least expensive. So this is the AquaPower. It's 105 watts, and it was $278, the most expensive of any of them. Well, let's see how it's packaged. So here's the manual, another manual. Oh, that must still be in there. Silica gel, all the standard stuff, and then the panel. Now all of these will have the solar panels and a solar controller. You have to be really careful. They're selling a lot of these things without a controller. They want you to use their own brand of solar generator to use as a battery. So here you can see this has 3 solar panels. And you would just set it out in the sun just like this, so that would be they'd be like 35 watts each. All of the goodies. So here is the little inexpensive, these are all gonna be really cheap. If you break them, you throw them away and you go buy a new one. The huge advantage this one has is MC4 cables, and that is a huge advantage because MC4 cables are standard. You have a problem with a controller, you're not going to have any problem just disconnecting the MC4s and reconnecting a different controller. So I really like that. It looks like it has a really long cable. We'll look at the details later. But the standard, this is the norm. I think they'll all be like this. They'll just have a little cheap controller, alligator clips to go on the battery. So I think that's what we're going to see on all of them. This is $278, by far the most expensive of all of them. You can see, very light, very easy. Taking this in and out every day is not a burden in any way, shape, or form. The next most expensive is a Renogy. Renogy has actually gotten into this. This Renogy is $254. So it's a little cheaper than that AquaPower. And Renogy is a good name. I like the Renogy name a lot. It's physically a little bigger. So this is the Renogy. It's basically the same thing. You can see it's very thin. Here it has a little snap and it opens. And you have 2 50-watt panels. This is a 100-watt total. And you can see that it's just like a 1/4 inch. And so you can see that hauling this thing out in and out every day is not going to be a burden. And yet the panels aren't doing that constant flexing that the flexible panels do. Same thing. These are much cheaper. That other one had much higher quality clips. So here's the controller, and also MC4s. Another really good thing. To use an extension to move this further away, and you're going to want to move this further away. That's the whole point, as far as I'm concerned. All you got to do is buy an MC4 extension cable, and you can move it as far away as you want from the rig. It does come with a nice little display. That'll be good, and the Velcro, which will attach it. And again, it's tiny. That's the key thing. It weighs nothing. It's tiny, but it should last a whole lot better than the flexible. I'll give you a table with the price and the weight and the dimensions of all of them. I'm hoping their longevity is going to be far better because they're not flexing. The only bend is in this cloth. See, the cloth bends. The panels don't bend. And I hope that's going to save these from the quick death flexible panels get. Now, here we have 3 Dokio. That's the brand name, Dokio. And I bought 3 of them. I bought an 80-watt, a 100-watt, and a 200-watt. And I went out, there's a reason I did that. Well, Bob, why'd you buy 3 to test? Because they are so cheap. I can't believe the price on these things. They are just cheap. The 80-watt is only $119 with the controller, and that's just an incredible price. And so I would really like to do a long-term test on all of these to find out how they're going to hold up. And for a lot of you, for $119, 80 watts will be enough. I mean, if all you have is your laptop or even your iPad, just your iPad and your iPhone, pad and a phone, a light, a little USB fan, 80 watts would be enough. And so for $119, wow, that is a screaming deal. Same thing, it's got the pocket, a little cheap controller, and much higher quality than those Renogy. I'm really embarrassed that Renogy sent that little cheap crap that they did. Now, these are using what's called an SAE connector, and it's not nearly the quality of MC4. You can get an extension for an SAE connector. This one has USB, has two 5-volt USBs on it. That's really nice. It's the same thing. It's just a standard little cheap controller. Oh, and here it is. So here is a, again, it's got the SAE coming out of it. And that's, it's a really universal connector, but they're not the very best connector. And it's the same thing. It's two hard panels. This one I think might snap off. I'm not sure. No, I think it's sewn on. It does, this feels, my immediate impression, this feels kind of flimsy and thin. It's still, I mean, it's impressive that they're giving away that cheap. The reason I bought 3 of them is because I really want to know if they will hold up. So I have, this is now a Dokio 100 watt. And this one is $154. So this is 100 watt and $154. The 80 watt is a little cheaper per watt. I have a table and I'll show you what they are per watt. And it's, you know, it's basically just going to be the exact same thing. Just a little slightly bigger panel because this one has 50 and 50 for a total of 100. Same thing, the controller, probably the exact same controller would work on both. The same alligator clips, the same SAE connector. So all this would be interchangeable. It is nice that with the SAE, you can get an SAE extension from Amazon and extend it out quite a bit. That's the main thing you want to do, is you want to be able to park your van in the shade and then move the panel out. And that's the big advantage. There's an SAE connector, and there's the 250 watt panels making 100. If these things hold up at all, they're an incredible deal. $154. Again, 200 watts would be 300. Really, really good deal. This is the final Dokio, and it is 200 watts. So it's the Grand Mama. So it's basically going to be the same thing, except it's 200 watts. And they do that by giving you more panels that fold up. Those seem a little better. I'd have to compare directly. Basically, it's all going to be exactly the same. It uses SAE, quick connects. Here's all the manual. It looks like either a lot more cable or a lot heavier cable. And, okay, how does this open? Opens. Got good Velcro on it. So it has 4. That's all. It has 4 50 watt panels. Well, that Velcro is good. So now you have 200 watts. And again, the standard SAE connector. You cannot connect them wrong, and you can buy an extension from Amazon or a lot of places. And there is 200 watts, 4 50 watt panels. It is substantially heavier. Well, it's twice, but it's still not any big deal. You know, I can hold this straight out. I think anyone could take this and throw it around without any problem. Okay, one more thing I want to show you. I bought a battery. I want to test these with a battery. Now I'm going to give all these away. And so ultimately I'm not going to keep any of this stuff. I'm going to test it for a while, then I'll give it away to someone who can use it and they will test it. Probably the same with this battery. So what I'm going to do is set up this thing as a complete separate system and run like my fridge off it, just off this battery. And then we'll test them that way. This is a Windy Nation. There it is. It's AGM, it's deep cycle. It was $200 on Amazon. It's a prime item, which is one of the main reasons I bought it, was because it's prime. And I like Windy Nation. Windy Nation, in my experience, makes good stuff. It was $200, $199, $198, something like that. And it was, because it was Prime, it was 2-day shipping. I had this thing in 2 days, and I do mean literally. I ordered it on Wednesday, and it was here on Friday, because it's a Prime item, and that's how Prime items go. Also, I didn't have to have a core. Your core is probably 35 bucks. So because I didn't have a core, if you deduct the core, that makes it about 165 bucks for this deep cycle AGM, and I think that's a good deal. And probably, and we want to test it. That's the whole goal here. I want to do a long-term testing on all of these: the Dokio 200, the Dokio 100, the Dokio 80, and then the Renogy 100 and the AccuPower 100. Now, by far the smallest, most expensive is the AccuPower. So far, just at first glance, it looks to be the highest quality of all of them to me. Just this is my first glance. I haven't seen any of them before. So far, the quality of that is dramatically better than any of the others. These are just much more solid, and you're always going to be better off with actual MC4s. And so just my initial impression is there's a reason these are so cheap, and there's a reason this is so expensive. The Renogy is kind of in the middle. Okay, so I think that will be it. Let me give you an idea of my testing procedure. The main thing I want to see is, will they hold up? Are these things, if you take this thing out and set it on the ground and you're constantly moving it back and forth, that's what kills the flexibles, is they're constantly moving them back and forth, and they're flexing, and eventually they just wear out inside. So I'm planning on taking them out, setting them up, putting them away, taking them out and setting them up, putting them away at least twice a day, every day for a month. That's the minimum. So they will have had 120 cycles just to see how they hold up in that repetition. And we'll also put them on the battery. I'll let the battery run down until it's hungry, and then we will compare them with an amp meter and a voltmeter and see how many amps are actually flowing through it and how many volts are actually flowing through it. So we'll give you all that information. And then once I've got everything I can do in a fairly brief period of time, I'll give them away, and we'll check back with that person I give them to in every 6 months. In 6 months, I'll do a test, then I'll do a test, I'll check with them a year, I'll check with them at 2 years, and we'll know long-term, will these things hold up. Okay, that's all I know right now. You know every bit as much as I do. I just want you to know we're going to do it. So that's it. That's what I'm going to do for this video, and we'll come back in a few days and give you a video of the initial testing with the voltage and amps that we're getting out of them from the sun. Okay, thanks a lot for watching this. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk.